Hi everybody, my name is Rachael Twig and I'm an indie author, which means that I write, edit and self-publish my own books, and Black Jaguar is my first book. It's available as an ebook and as a paperback, and you can find the link below to the Amazon website if you'd like to have a read. So I'm going to read to you guys today chapter 1 of Black Jaguar. He walks towards me. No, he stalks towards me. My eyes locked onto his. In them I see longing souls. Those from a past life, perhaps? Maybe the tortured pleadings of all those damned seamen whom I lured to the icy depths of my heart, only to gaze curiously at them as their lungs filled with water, and they bobbed up and down on Mother Ocean's soft feet, lifeless, bewildered and entranced. One such soul flashes to my mind. His eyes were piercing as they are now. I am the one entranced. He is getting closer to my bed now. I am the one entranced. I cannot hear him coming. His footsteps are silenced by those gorgeously designed feet. How does he walk like that? So silent, like a ghost gliding in shadows, yet so majestic and present. He is here. I do not hear his footsteps, yet I feel them deep in my heart. Each step closer hits me like the punch of a meteorite impacting the desert sands, rippling energy from my heart out to the extremities of my physical being. He is closer now. Yet I still have not moved. I still have not gulped for a breath. My last left my lungs some time ago, and I am lost in the abyss that comes between the out-breath and the in. That place where as a child, after hours in the water, I could calm my heart to such a rate that I was able to dive down to the deepest part of the pool, the place where the drain cover lay. I would slide my fingers into the groove of the lid, a sensation like that of picking up a bowling ball, 2 fingers and 1 thumb, 3 grooves, and hold, then release a little more breath and a little more until there was no more. My body softened, my eyes settled into that gaze I know well, the one where I see nothing outwardly, but everything within. I feel the lid cutting into my water-softened hands, and I know I am to lose my conscious thought ever so soon. Those eyes, those beautiful eyes that stand alone in a fire, like those romanticized eyes of a cobra under charm as he hovers above the lid of his basket, or a camel sauntering towards his oasis, whose beautiful lashes frame his enormous eyes as they fade in and out of view through the sultry haze. Yet even those exquisite eyes do not do them justice. I feel the drain lid cutting into my fingers. If I do not release them now, I will be lost. They are caught now, and my body is limp. Yet I no longer possess the strength required to release them. I am on the bottom. I am in heaven, my favorite place in all the world. And then, despite the impossibility of this, I have grown to question. My lips part, and I take a long, slow, shallow breath in. One of quantity to fill only the cavern that is my mouth. My sight returns to the external world. I let go, pushing with my young froglet legs off the bottom of the pool in a well-rehearsed and somewhat autonomic dance. My head breaks through the pool's surface. I feel it on the balls of my eyes, like dipping my head, crown first, into a bucket of molten metal in slow motion. Yet it is quite the opposite, for it is liquid from which I am emerging, not entering. My mind is clear. This happens now. I take that breath, and I regain consciousness. and I decide I am not afraid. I choose to deny all that has been portrayed of him by others, of his name, Jaguar. Black Jaguar. A wild black jaguar has slunk in through my open bedroom window, entering along the outstretched branches of the palo barraco tree beside the house where I stay. I wonder if these are the eyes of my grandfather by blood, the elusive ghost who had existed yet left no trace. I think of my grandmother, the one we will never know, the woman who carried my mother in shame, who labored tirelessly only to have her ripped from her loins and given to another as their own. My adopted grandmother was an angel, and it is because of her my brother and I exist. I hold no malice towards her part in the fairy tale. Both grandmothers are sacred to me, and I feel their presence from the other world often. But I have only loathing for the men who created the churches and the nuns who carried out their bidding. So many mothers and babies lost to each other with no record, all in the false praise of a man-made God. We know only that she travelled by ship to England under the supervision of her uncle, and returned with child, only to be cast upon a convent by those she loved. How can I proclaim to know love? How can my heart trust when I carry these genetic traumas from my feminine past? My mind often wonders, was my mother simply a miracle of one of my barren grandfather's affairs, given to my adopted grandmother as an apology? I will never know. And as such, I give myself free will to alleviate my own curiosity. The eyes of my black jaguar burn into my soul as he circles once, sits and opens his toothy jaws to yawn, releasing a putrid smell, like another punch, yet this time to the olfactory senses, which for an empathic waif such as myself is just as debilitating. We are alone, in silent communication. Our gaze blurs, our lids fall heavy, opening and gazing intently at each other, then falling shut once more. My heart is still racing, yet I feel strangely calm. My body succumbs to the sweet exhaustion that follows a shock such as this, and we sleep. My subconscious is overcome with the vivid recollections I have conjured of my blood grandmother, that tortured nymph whom was brought by sea to England following the tragic death of her parents to a motoring accident. She had returned home from high school that day, her satchel dragging behind her on the scorching concrete path, knee-length socks slouching around her silky white ankles, ruby red hair blazing wildly around her porcelain face, and her eyes a piercing blue. The house was silent, immaculate as her mother had left it, with no trace of inhabitants. Nothing. Nobody. No one. It was some time before she ventured into the eerie cabin of the kitchen, lifted a red apple from the fruit bowl and drew it to her lips, crunching into its sweet flesh with her dainty white teeth as she returned to her room to lay on her bed and slept. She was awoken to the outline of her uncle standing at the foot of her bed. His pink, tear-stained eyes told her they were gone. Yet no words were exchanged. She dressed in silence when he retreated to the kitchen to brew a cup of strong black coffee while she packed her suitcase. She took only her best clothes, her newest shoes and socks, and her beloved doll, Charlotte. Her hand resting on the brass doorknob, she allowed herself one last look around the childhood room she would never return to. The click of the door, sealing the tomb of memories behind her, stays with her still. Yet, in time, it was not the memory of this bedroom that she would miss most. It was the ghost of the elderly woman who lovingly stroked her forehead each night before she slept. She had known her since birth, as she had grown up in this house and had never known any other as her home, and the ghost of the elderly woman had been always there. They had boarded the ship that very afternoon. Still, no words had been spoken between the uncle and the freckled girl. But she had gathered from the whisperings of the immaculately dressed gentlemen and their wives who fleetingly passed by. They were bound for England. She supposed that her uncle had business to attend to there. Since the passing of her aunt, he had become somewhat of a recluse of the seas, rarely ever venturing onto land for fear of the well-intentioned conversations forced upon him by those who felt privy to ask after his wife. While at sea, he was seen by others as an entrepreneur, bringing fresh business ideas to the north. With an exquisitely beautiful wife, sweet babe in her arms, sipping lemonade at the marina and patiently awaiting his return. On land, he was merely a widower. And not only had he lost the love of his life, but the sweet babe who drowned in her womb when she died had left him as well. The well-meaning conversations of the land dwellers only served to reopen the wound that had become his heart. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please follow the link down below and purchase my book, and please, please, please leave me a review. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and stay posted. Thank you. Bye.